Now, the platinum sector could face a major strike, with Amcu saying it will down tools over job losses. That announcement comes as Sibanye-Stillwater looks set to retrench nearly 6,000 people. The union isn't mincing its words. Let's get you the latest now. eNCA's Aviwe Mtila is tracking that story for us. Aviwe, you were telling me a little earlier, President Cyril Ramaphosa, we will remember, calling the mining sector the sunrise economy for South Africa. This news today announced by Amcu does not bode well for that.
Certainly doesn't, Michelle. It is, in fact, making it seem like a sunset economy, sunset industry, basically. That's a mining industry. We've heard just now from Joseph Mathunjwa, Amcu's president, one of the strong unions, mining unions in South Africa, saying that they want a national shutdown. They are, of course, undergoing a 3-month strike. It will be completing 3 months on Friday. That's the strike at Sibanye-Stillwater. It's gold operation. 15,000 Amcu members have downed tools there, essentially. And Sibanye-Stillwater is saying that it suffered financial losses and it wants to restructure. Today, Amcu has come out saying that it actually, in fact, wants to extend the strike and not only stop it at its gold operations, it wants to extend it to the platinum belt as well in Rustenburg, but not only at Sibanye-Stillwater. Essentially, it wants it to go into other where there are Amcu members. It wants all those mining companies, essentially Harmony, Impala, your Anglo-Americans. They want a strike in the whole mining industry, essentially, saying that their workers are suffering. They haven't been paid for the last 3 months, those Sibanye-Stillwater. 15,000 have had a Black Christmas. They couldn't essentially buy your back-to-school clothing for their children. Now they're calling for this extended strike. Let's listen in to President of Amcu, Joseph Mathunjwa.
Amcu is calling on all responsible shareholders who invest in Sibanye-Stillwater to disinvest immediately and send a clear signal to Froneman that he cannot crush the livelihoods of black mine workers and the communities that feed the mines. He cannot continue with his apartheid-style neo-capitalism of exploiting the majority for the benefit of the minority of the fat cats. We call upon all like-minded workers and people to join Amcu in making all those who benefited from the apartheid to pay back to the majority of the black mine workers. We also call on the civil communities to join all the protests to be staged by Amcu, and we call on all Amcu members to heed our call for the secondary strike as the struggle of economic emancipation intensifies. Froneman must be told in a very harsh way, and he must be told in a harsh lesson that he is determined to continue exploiting mine workers as beneficiary of apartheid, using so-called rented black directors and managers and fooling them into thinking that they are owners of the means of production.
I mean, this is incredibly bad news for the mining sector, Aviwe. If we just think back to the last time Amcu organized a massive strike, 2014, that strike crippling the sector, lasting 5 months. What's happening in the background now in terms of what mining bosses are doing?
You're correct over there. That was essentially the longest strike in South African history, the Marikana strike, which of course led to that Marikana massacre, led by the very same Amcu. They're still saying that they're facing similar challenges now of no response from government. They marched earlier in January, I think the 21st of January, they marched to the Minerals Council, and essentially that's the body that all these mining companies fall under. Essentially, they say the response that they got over there was that Mineral Council does not take lead in Sibanye-Stillwater decision. They must talk directly to Sibanye-Stillwater. They've also had challenges, according to them, from the Department of Mineral Resources, saying that they can't get clear direction with the minister, Minister Aviwe Mtila, saying that the minister is in fact an NUM minister and doesn't cater for all the unions. Let's listen in again on Joseph Mathunjwa and what he had to say about Aviwe Mtila, the minister.
Aviwe Mtila is not prepared to come closer to Amcu. He's not prepared. He ran to Gloria, but he never been to Lilimai. 3 workers are still trapped underground. He never even questioned and asked about how to get to Lilimai. But he went to Gloria, where the illegal miners were. Why goes to Gloria? Because the constituents of NUM. It's simple. It's simple. We can see clearly his modus operandi. I requested him several times for his intervention, but he ignored us. He go to Kolobeni to confuse communities there. Now he's busy in Western Cape with the extension of that company from Australia. What interest does he have in this? Why doesn't he come here? And I don't think it will be easy for Amcu, since the former General Secretary of NUM is in an executive position of the advisory board of Sibanye, Franz Balin. So then, what can you expect? If the Minister of Minerals didn't raise a finger to Froneman after he kills 23 breadwinners, at Kloof more than what, 6? 6 breadwinners. Or 7, of which they were forced to work under unsafe conditions. No manager was disciplined. Instead, they moved the manager from Kloof to Driefontein. But the minister said nothing. But he's the custodian of the minerals that is used by Froneman to exploit the majority of the black mine workers. So should we fold our hands and wait for this government, of which is not our government? It's a government of a neoliberal. It's not ours. If it's our government, we'll be caring for us. We wouldn't allow Froneman to go this far without having a word with him. We are not saying government must negotiate on behalf of Amcu, but they are the custodian of these minerals. If our minerals are being used by monopoly capital to exploit the people who put you into power, then can we call this our government? It's not our government. This is the government of the business.
All right, before we let you go, Aviwe, any word from the minister as yet, given that Joseph Mtila made this call at that press briefing just a couple of hours ago?
Yes, that's the word that we're trying to get a hold now. What is the Minister of Mineral Resources, essentially, Gwede Mantashe, going to say? So we'll be keeping you updated on the progress of that. But essentially, so far, we haven't heard anything from him and the Mineral Resources Council at this stage. All
right, well, thanks very much for that update. You'll continue to track that story for us. Aviwe Mtila is our reporter on the story. The platinum sector could face a major strike. You just heard Amcu President Joseph Mtila calling for workers to down tools.